it to Gabriel Ferreira, number 7, who's making a run. There's nobody in front of him. Oh, man.
All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to the NBP, the No Beaters podcast. My name is Gabe, and I'm joined with my co-host Bryan, as always, and we're back again for another episode of the podcast. And this week's episode, we're going to talk about MLQ Championship bid finalists for 2022 finally being announced, which is exciting, as well as we're going to do a little bit of a throwback to last year's MLQ Championship weekend. Given the announcement, I don't want to give away the announcement until we announce it, but given the announcement, we're going to kind of highlight some of the events that happened last year as sort of a little, it kind of connects to the announcement that was made by MLQ. So we'll get right into it. MLQ announcement was released this week, and they announced the winner for the MLQ 2022 championships, and it's going to be Howard County again, which is super exciting. So back in Maryland. So again, based off the success of last year, so we're going to be going over some of the highlights from last year. They're going back to Howard County, and I'm just going to pull up the article here so we can go through it real quick, see what the official announcement was. So again, this is all posted on their MLQ website. So where is it here? I thought I had it. Here you go. While I do that, though, also, so I guess in the news, before we even get into that, Olympics is over as well, and then the Leafs made a trade. So any thoughts on that before we get into this article here?
The amount of rumors, real quick, for Leafs trades, I follow way too much rumors. It was a good trade. I don't know. They got rid of a player who was doing nothing for them, who was sitting in the minors, taking up way too much money, and they got back 2 players who will hopefully not be negative impact. Addition by subtraction.
I'm pretty sure Dzingel got waived today to go do the minors, so we'll see if he gets claimed or not.
One player, addition by subtraction. Small steps.
I think Dzingel was on waivers, but pretty sure it was the Steve Dangle, not podcast, but Steve Dangle in the recap of the game the other night. At the very end, he was doing the LFRs. He was talking about the trade and basically made a good point. Essentially, it was Kyle Lewis basically bought I can't remember how many millions it was based on Nick Ritchie's cap hit. So he basically bought a couple million in cap space for. It really depends on what, because and he made a good point too. I've never seen a team actually do like a one or the other. It's usually isn't it like a conditional where it's like if they sign or if they make the playoffs or whatever, then they get the pick. I've never actually seen it where it's like this or that, and I've never seen it be that far in the future. So it's going to be interesting to see whether Arizona picks the third or if they pick the second. So basically, he bought the cap space for a second, which is pretty sweet if you ask me.
I'm trying to years down the line too, so it doesn't really impact them immediately.
Yeah, exactly. Most of the conditional picks are like, if this happens, we bump it back a year because we want to keep our high pick, or like you don't think this will be enough value, so you'll get it next year when it's potentially better for you. Like, there's conditions that make sense. This is like, do you want a shittier pick next year, which is still like a draft in between, or do you want a pick that's like so far down the road that it feels like me playing NHL GM, where I'm like, I don't need a second round pick 4 years from now. I probably won't be playing, so it doesn't matter. Cool stuff. I'm hoping the Leafs do something. They had a bad game, and is what it is. But progress for progress.
I think more trades will be coming, but it was nice to see some fun news in the news. But anyway, so back to the article here. I finally got it up here. So MLQ Championships return to Howard County. So this was posted February 16th. So MLQ has announced the 2022 MLQ Championships will be hosted in Howard County, Maryland, the weekend of August 20th to 22nd. Again, it's a partnership with Visit Howard County. We haven't had a chance to check out their website. It's pretty cool, actually. Anyway, so there's a quote from the Howard County executive, Calvin Ball. With the success of last year's tournament in the review, it's gratifying to welcome back MLQ Championships to Howard County. Once again, our exceptional recreational facilities, warm hospitality, and engaged business community make Howard County an unmatched location for a variety of tournaments and events. It was wonderful to see so many young people competing and so many families watching from the stands. Our entire community is looking forward to another magical weekend. And then this is another quote from Director of Howard County Recreation and Parks, A. Raul Delmer. Winning the bid for this annual tournament 2 years in a row is a testimony to our welcoming environment, pristine fields, ample parking, and first-rate accommodations. This event brings joyful atmosphere that my entire staff enjoys. So, it's going to be super exciting. Obviously, fingers crossed that we're us Canadians are able to experience the venue, but based on what we've seen from the video and some of the footage was put on by MLQ last year in the facilities, it's definitely something to look forward to for us Canadian MLQ players. So, with that though, I wanted to see if you guys had any thoughts on return to Howard County. Things to look forward to for us this summer, I guess. Eventually.
Well, to be fair, none of us were actually there. We were stuck on our side of the border. I'm excited. I was kind of when it got announced, like the year where we were like, maybe we'll play this year. I was like, cool. I want to go to Maryland. Like it's nice, and frankly, I want to go eat some crab. That's the big like draw on the side. But like it was a nice place. Everything was filmed beautifully. The atmosphere is like perfect. It's relatively close to an airport as far as I'm aware. I don't think it's that far off, but like kind of ticks the major marks. And hey, if everyone can make it from up north, we all have a chance now to get in on what we missed.
Yeah, the fact they were able to have like a successful tournament during a pandemic, like to that nature, like really reinforces the fact like it was a good partnership between both MLQ and Howard County, and the fact that they also won a tourism award with the help of the MLQ Championship. I'm sure they would want to have them for another year or 2 years in a row.
Yeah, for sure. It's always exciting to go to like a venue that's like kind of really excited to have you. Like, I know Quidditch is a relatively niche sport, but the fact that they're super excited and we're super eager to have us back is always a good sign. So it's definitely something to look forward to. So with that, though, we wanted to sort of reminisce about MLQ Championships that was 2021. So we're going over some of the games we thought that games or series over the weekend that we thought we would reevaluate or kind of bring up again, whether it was exciting or something that kind of stood out. And Brian, I know that you mentioned way back when we did the MLQ Championship 2021 recap. It was more of a summary of the whole season, but I think there was a lot of this in the actual championship weekend itself. The word they used was parody. So I think parody is a great sort of descriptor that you would use for the whole sort of season. So some of the series that we had seen with the weekend, for starters, we'll kick off with the one game that I particularly enjoyed watching was the Cleveland showing overall. So there was the first game. Just put up the scores here. So the first game they had against was League City. And that was a close game. And then they had the unfortunate DSQ from I think it was Kansas City.
Kansas City, yes.
Due to like a COVID outbreak in the team, so they weren't able to play. But that second game that they had played, in particular, Cleveland and League City, was down to a snitch catch. If I'm not mistaken, it was a 5-point game, super exciting game. So I think that was probably one of my favorite games over like individual games from the whole weekend. That was in the play-in bracket. So are there any other games that you guys sort of remember from the weekend or a series that in particular that kind of stood out to you that you thought was really exciting to watch?
For me, it was definitely the rivalry between Austin and Boston in the championship bracket. There was a lot of questions with Boston, like how successful they would be based on the fact they didn't have like the most dominant regular season that they did because teams like Washington and New York showing improvement. So it was interesting to see like how they would face against Austin in that matchup. And of course, we saw Austin be Austin, and they won that series 2-0. Overall, I wouldn't say it with ease, but it was kind of expected. They were the favorite in that series, so I was still interested in seeing like how Boston would fare against them when it actually mattered most in the semifinals.
Yeah, like I think I would say Boston kind of had like a changing of the guard a little bit last year, so like that kind of fall back a little bit kind of hurt them, and going against Austin, who kind of I guess took the previous year of 2019, they took that personally, and they kind of came to play. The game that really kind of stood out in my mind was Washington-Charlotte, because the East was kind of this weird powder keg. Like once again, I'll brag about it. I thought Rochester wasn't going to do as well. They didn't do as well, but
Mhm.
everything else that I thought was going to happen in that division, I was flat wrong. Like I was like, Charlotte's going to kill it. They did pretty good, but they weren't the best.
Mm.
Washington was going to be like amazing. Boston was going to like dominate things again, or New York was going to like. I just all my guesses kept being wrong, and
Mhm.
when we kind of knew what happened between Washington and Charlotte the previous time, I totally was like, "Yep, this is like nothing too special here." But it was a close game. Like the final score was 140, 125. That's nothing to sneeze at, especially in qualifying brackets. Like there's definitely bigger blowouts when most of the time it's like 100-point gap or something. Like there's obviously like other circumstances, like the League City Cleveland first game was what, like 45 points difference, relatively close. Detroit
Mhm.
Charlotte 80-point difference. Uh, Washington League City in that second thing 175-40. Like some of the gaps become pretty big, and when you have like within a couple goals, like that game or the League City or the Cleveland League City game, like in the losers bracket or the second like half of the qualifying, that's the stuff you want to see. Like teams are fighting for their life, like they want
Mhm.
that bracket spot, and
Yeah.
that's what like in my mind is like the greatest Quidditch to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Another series I wanted to point out too was the New York San Antonio. So in previous years, I would say kind of like New York San Antonio, maybe like the number two in the respective divisions, and then obviously New York had the year that they did where they won East title for the first time. Then going up against San Antonio, winning that 2-0, and then in the final as well, playing against Austin. I think it was fair to say Austin was the better team overall over the course of the season, but I think we did mention a little bit in the preview back in that episode, but it just seemed like New York had kind of lost a little bit of steam. Just going back to your point, Brian, about the Charlotte game, that extra game potentially maybe having a factor, but it just seemed that some of the players just definitely looked a little bit fatigued. But yeah, overall, lots of great Quidditch. Any other games or sort of comments from last year's championship though that you want to point out?
I think it was kind of sad to see Indy play San Antonio again, and
Yeah.
unfortunately it didn't go their way that time with a 2-0 sweep. But Minnesota didn't fare much better. They went 2-0 just as well, and
Yeah.
I would say they lost a lot more handily than Indianapolis did.
Yeah.
But that's kind of
And
the decision that. Sorry.
keep in mind too that they had picked Boston. Remember, like they had done that thing where they had to pick.
Exactly.
And I remember we're talking about that. We're saying like, wow, they picked Boston. Like that was pretty ballsy, and everyone was just like, oh, okay, we'll see what happens. And then he just got absolutely like spanked, quite frankly, against Boston.
Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting to see as well.
Well, it's always like you said before. Like it's when you talk about like when we mentioned the like, oh well, they had to play an extra game so they look tired. That's not like that's never a dig on the team that's like, oh, they're less conditioned or they're worse, their conditioning's a lot worse. It's you have to play a whole other game of Quidditch, of proper, like you have to be competing, and then you have to go play against another team. Like, cool, hey, do you want to play this game? You also have to wear this 5-pound vest the entire game. Like, it's minor, sure, but like it's not helpful for the most part. Like there's teams that like ramp up and get better throughout the day, sure, but like for the most part, if you have to expend extra energy, like no
Also,
thanks.
you're also increasing the risk of injury as well. Like that one game can have one or two
Absolutely.
major injuries that result in you like your chances of winning diminishing. But
Spot
the
on.
least amount of games you can play to win the championship is basically the route you want to take. In order to stay as fresh as possible.
I'm always for that, like, oh, I'm gonna go the hero round. We're gonna go from the bottom. We're gonna be every single team. That's always great. But like if you're
Play
really
smart.
looking, if you're looking to win in a season like MLQ, you already play a bunch of like games at the beginning of the season, aka the season. You got to get here, and then when you get here, you want to win. Like you don't want to have to play. Like, hey, I'm gonna lose in the first qualifying game, and then play all the way through to get to the championship bracket and play the toughest competition every time. Like, no, you're not helping yourself. Like, we're playing a sport. There's some strategy involved, and like, you don't want to just beat up on a weak team. Like, I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying, like, try your hardest, win, and keep winning. Don't like game it, because you're gonna shoot yourself in the foot and do something dumb. Which, honestly, evidently, I guess Minneapolis kind of did. They picked a harder team with a harder track record.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, super exciting. So look forward to MLQ Championships this upcoming year. Hopefully, both Ottawa and Toronto can qualify, but we'll see how that turns out this summer. So definitely looking forward to the return to Howard County this summer. And with that, though, we also want to do sort of like a tournament / location must-haves or things that we look for like as players when we're going to certain venues. So one of the questions we had here was basic minimums for a venue to have. So what are things as a player that you think, even as a player, but as an organizer when we're organizing these tournaments, so whether it's MLQ, QC, et cetera, when they're putting together these sort of marquee tournaments or series, et cetera, what are some of the things that you think should be sort of the ground floor when it comes to a venue qualifying or a location qualifying for selection in the bidding process?
I'm going to sound redundant because I say this every time, is a good place to film and I guess stands or some sort of like ability to get the game out there. Like, not everyone's able to show up. Like, there's players on teams who qualify who can't even make it sometimes because of cost or travel or work or injury or illness or whatever. So like, being able to broadcast it at a high quality is kind of the minimum now. Like, we've seen MLQ get better and better over the last couple of years. Like, I remember watching you guys play in Wisconsin. Like, it was good video, but like, the last couple of years have gotten better and better and better.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the standard we need to see now. Wi-Fi is always nice because we're millennials that are dependent on our phone, and I don't want to pay roaming data fees. Yeah, that's kind of like the two off the top of my head. But what do you guys think?
Like a facility that's able to accommodate most weather conditions that you would expect in that area. So like shaded areas on days where it's like really sunny out and hot, you need to like get some shade from. You're playing in the sun, so you need a place where you can go afterwards to kind of cool down between games in order to prevent like heat stroke and whatnot. And maybe some areas as well. Of course, like if you have to play in the rain, you have to play in the rain, but somewhere we can like put your belongings where it doesn't get, all soaked up by the rain and whatnot. Just being able to accommodate the expected weather conditions in the air, because of course the weather can be random at times. But you definitely want something where people can feel comfortable both playing and just when they're not playing also feel that same comfort as well.
Accommodate weather and accommodate the people. When we were in Virginia, like, it was great. Like, we had space for stuff, but like, if you have a lot of people fighting for like space, we've had that problem with like some of the Team Canada, or not Team Canada necessarily, but like Quidditch Canada, like nationals, of like teams like fighting for like rooms and stuff and be like, we need to claim this because we need our space. And it definitely helps. Like, hey, we'll be there the first like hour the first day. Cool, we're gonna pick the nicest, biggest room that we can get our hands on because it helps, right? Or we need one close to a bathroom or one in a corner away from everyone else. Like, having that ability to like accommodate the event, like, it's kind of a basic requirement now. Like, it's a large number of people.
I'd also say like actually like assign, like as a tournament organizer, actually assign like a location for teams to like, this is your designated spot, so you don't have to like come in like scurrying around looking for a spot, like a place to like set up camp, but they kind of already have an idea of like where they're going to be, and that just alleviates pressure and alleviates stress as well.
I'll scurry around, Nate. That's fine. I don't care. I want the spot, but you're right. Like, you shouldn't be trying to game a competitive advantage from finding like showing up early, right? Like, me and Zach and Stevie, when we showed up to MLQ Championships a couple years ago, we were the first ones there besides 2 other people who were tournament staff because we drove through the night because we got screwed by the plane. And we got there like 6:30 a.m. We were tired. We went back to the hotel and slept for a little bit and got showers in, but like we shouldn't have to gain a competitive advantage by sending people early.
Yeah.
Fairly distribute people, make it easy, and it is what it is. Like yeah.
Yeah, like going back to the article, when they announced the winner and stuff like that. One of the things that they had mentioned on the paragraphs was just like MLQ sort of push to become more of like a quote unquote professional league. So based on kind of what you guys have said, so first one being film. So if you think about like professional professional sports, whether it's hockey or ultimate or like whatever sport it is, there's always obviously film. So that's going to be a way to promote the sport in terms of getting fan engagement. Obviously, Nate, like there's going to be like you're not going to have to worry about like sending Mitch Marner a few hours early to a game to get the room that you're looking for, right? So like having an actual room where the teams can kind of meet and have their meetings without having to worry about are we going to have space? That's all set up. Another thing I think about too is having lines. I know that's always a huge issue, but like having lines painted on the field or marks, so we're not having to have like cones on the field. It's just it would be so nice. I know it's easier said than done, but I think like that would be another sort of like entry level requirement for facility to provide. That's not like a huge ask because I'm thinking even for, like the next step above that would be kind of having like some sort of way of like shuttling players to and from the field. So whether it's from an airport or maybe that's sort of like I said, another tier above in terms of what a venue can provide. But that'd be pretty awesome if you could have like whether it's like a team bus or something that's able to like kind of shuttle people back and forth from an airport or like a central location. So instead of having to like drive there or have to worry about like Ubering or cabbing or wherever it's where you have to go, just having like sort of a central transportation from the hotel or whatever to the venue would be pretty sweet. But I think those three would be more of a baseline. Like, so having lines painted, having like sort of a team room, and then also having film, I think are pretty film and Wi-Fi are pretty entry level requirements for a venue. But any other things you guys can think of maybe?
I remember the go ahead.
I was just gonna say a nice little bonus I like is nice benches, like a proper bench. That's always like I think we had that.
Like the ones that are like kind of covered as well, would be pretty sweet.
Yeah,
I was thinking just like a bench. Like a bench is good for me because I can just sit there and dump water on myself when it's hot. But like, yeah, I know a covered bench would be sick. Like there's like you can. I remember at Pan Am's they had like the little ATV or whatever golf cart thing that they like rode in for the medics, and like they had like other equipment that they could just like pick stuff up or like attach something, and then it would slide to wherever they need to go. Like stuff like that. Like that's sport thinking because it's not just a Quidditch event. Like there's other sports, right? So like being able to move stuff around like that is amazing. But I just want somewhere to sit after a long hard shift.
Yeah, I was gonna say with the people at the Pan Am's with the carts, like they're bringing water to the players on the fields, like during games, like these giant jugs because the weather was so hot and humid. But I also think something for the spectators as well, if they can also like accommodate them as well, knowing that they also have to experience the elements. So it'd be nice if they can get some sort of treatment as well in terms of making sure they're also like hydrated and taken care of as well during tournaments or major tournaments, I would say, not necessarily like local ones, but more so the bigger ones where you have like fans going to watch and whatnot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that was kind of a quick question. Then sort of a spin-off. So something we're hopefully going to be able to post on our Instagram as well. But so came up with like a would you rather tournament / location edition. So I have 7 questions here that are kind of related to whether tournament, location, and sort of the time around a game. Questions that I'm going to ask you guys, and I want to get your thoughts on sort of the head-to-head matchup here. So first one I have here is the climate of the location. So if you had to choose, would you rather have a cold climate, so like i.e. having like snow on the ground, having to play with like snow Quidditch, or like super hot, super humid? Like we're talking if you're on AstroTurf, like Nate, when you're talking about your cleats that are melting, like that kind of hot. Which one would you rather, hot or cold?
I'll just say Pan Am's because I had to experience it, so at least I know how to deal with it the second time around.
I would take somewhere in the middle, usually somewhere hot, but honestly, as a big guy, I'll take the cold. I can weather the colds.
Okay.
I can drive. I can deal with that. That helps my game. Um, as long as I can get my hands on some like hot chocolate or coffee or something to warm up after, absolutely, I'll take the cold. But yeah, the amount of time I've dealt with like heat problems, it just gets to me. It's not my thing.
Yeah, I was torn too. I was leaning toward cold, but then I remember my first year. Nate, you probably remember this when we did the at Queens. We had like a tournament in the middle of the winter, and it was like basically like an ice bowl. Like
the
it
Howland
was
McGill, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And that I just remember like falling on ice and I remember having a massive bruise for like the week after that. So, given that, I'm not like a big heat guy either. But if I had to choose, I would say the hot climate and just kind of like as soon as the game's done, just being dunking water all over myself after games or in between games. So I ended up going with the hot climate for that one.
I want the Texas people to experience the pain that we feel up in Canada.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like regionals and like freezing cold winds, getting windburned, like lips chapped, like just
Yep.
Yeah, totally different experience. That's for sure. Okay, cool. So we had 2 hot, 1 cold. So second one, would you rather have a grass field or an AstroTurf or a turf field?
Okay, quick question. So the AstroTurf is going to be absolutely flat. What's the odds that there's not like a massive like divot or anything in the grass field? Like, are we talking like it's just like a soccer field that's like we take it as good as it will be, or what?
Yeah, let's say like it's not going to be like Premier League quality like
Okay.
turf field or like NFL, but it'll be like it won't be
You don't have a pitfall in the middle
like
of it.
Sunday league. Yeah, like it won't be like a Sunday league like grass field after a rainy weekend kind of thing.
I'm gonna go AstroTurf.
Yeah.
I turf burn gets me, and I hate the little pebbles. But if I know I can live with like 100%, I can live on a flat field. Like I get that guarantee. I'll take that. That's what. So I like.
My answer kind of depends on the weather because if it's like the Pan Am climate that we experience, like Astro Turf would be in like I'd probably go with grass in those conditions, just because I feel like I'd probably slide less than I did on like the Astro Turf. But let's say it's generally like a pretty nice climate that day, I'd probably go with the Astro Turf because you don't have to like worry about any like basically as Brian's like any like any holes or any grooves or anything like that in the field. You can basically guarantee like a flat playing surface, and of course we also have experience winning championships or winning national championships on an AstroTurf, so might as well go with what gives you the success.
I'll also say there's the AstroTurf that we were at in Pan Am / MLQ Championships in 2019. That had like apparently like cooling technology, so it's supposed to be like colder on the fields.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was like, I didn't really notice it, but I was like, that's cool. It's a cool advertising point.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna go clean sweep with the AstroTurf, just because of the, like you said, Nate, with the weather, like unexpected conditions. Generally speaking, especially if it's raining, it's better. Well, it's never great when it's raining, but like if it was to rain, it's generally better on a AstroTurf versus like a grass field. Like the conditions just like go downhill. Even if it is a super nice field. The other thing I really liked about the AstroTurf, well, one obviously that you mentioned, Brian, was the turf burn. It's worse, but it's something you can kind of prepare for. Like if you wear like straps or something around your knees and stuff like that, or if you were to wear like, I mean, in the summer it's not like you would do it, but if you were to wear like some sort of like Under Armour or whatever underneath to cover up the sleeves, but I wouldn't do it in the middle of the heat. But the one thing I really like about the turf though is the bounce pass. With the turf, you can get that bounce pass, which is pretty cool. So I'm gonna go with turf for that one.
It also feels lighter on the feet too. I feel like on the grass sometimes when the ground's hard, depending on the time of year, like it hurts to kind of like your step. I don't know. Like over time, it kind of just feels like it takes a toll on your feet. Like on AstroTurf, it's it's kind of the same thing throughout the day and throughout the time of year. So,
cool. Okay, here's a question, real quick. Would you rather, if it was rainy, would you still stick with AstroTurf over grass?
If there's no like dirt, like if there's dirt that then becomes mud when you're playing on grass, I'd probably stick with the AstroTurf. But if it's like a nice grass field and it starts raining, I'd probably actually go with grass.
Yeah, if for me it's same thing. If it starts raining, like AstroTurf, I'm slipping and sliding, I'll deal with the mud. As long as I don't have like a 16-hour long drive, I'll do the mud. Why not? It's fun.
Yeah, see, I don't know. For me, like, again, it really depends because, like, now we're getting kind of into it, but like there's different types of AstroTurf. So like, there's the it's more of like it almost looks like a carpet. It's not really like it doesn't really look like grass. Then you have the AstroTurf where it's like actual, like it feels like grass for you to like swipe your hand through it.
Mm-hmm.
There's like some like sort of height to the quote unquote grass of like AstroTurf. So I guess that would really depend for me. I don't know. I think I would still stick with the AstroTurf regardless, just because I think I played more on AstroTurf than I did in actual grass. I think my later self will not appreciate that for me, because there's been studies that have shown that like playing on AstroTurf is actually like worse for like knee health and like stuff later on than it is actual grass. But I don't know. I for some reason, like I remember like when I was growing up playing soccer, like we learned how to slide tackle on AstroTurf, and like not like the first example I was talking about, like more the grass part. And it was a rainy day, so we were like just like sliding everywhere. So like ever since then, I've kind of like had a connection with the AstroTurf, I guess. But yeah, for me, I think I would stick with the AstroTurf regardless. But it's a good one though. Okay, so yeah, 3. I have this is if it's like I think there was only one time where we actually had this option. At least one of the events that I've been at. But if you had to choose, would you rather have a sauna or a like lap/recovery pool for like post game or post tournament to have access to?
I'm gonna go sauna, purely because like I had one experience when I was younger playing baseball that I was like at a tournament up in Barrie, and we like finished our first 2 games in like the morning/afternoon, and we went back to like the hotel to relax. And I remember my coach being like, "Don't go swimming in the pool or hot tub too long. You guys are gonna feel drained." And we're like, "Nah, we're okay." We went swimming for a little bit, then we're chilling in the hot tub and played later in the evening. The team that played us probably would have kicked our ass regardless, but every single one of us got there and we were just like, I can't put on my shoes. I really can't. So I'll take like the end of night sauna. That's what I'd prefer. The swimming, if I'm swimming, I'll do that another time, but I'll take a sauna.
I'd probably go with sauna as well. Just because like you're able to like relax more in that environment. You kind of just like it's like less work, because if you're in like I guess a lap when you're doing like some sort of like cool down lap, I feel like that requires actually doing some sort of exercise and like actually some exercise output. So I feel like with a sauna you're able to like, it obviously helps with like muscle relaxation and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But just be able to like kind of sit down and kind of just be with your thoughts and kind of recover and less work.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know, like if it was a hot tub, I think I would say hot tub, but I think just because I don't really like, I like the heat and the relaxations from the heat part of the sauna, but I don't know, I don't like the like sitting in like that room and just like it feeling like sweaty and gross. So I picked the lap pool or whatever. I wouldn't necessarily do laps. I would just go on my back and float, and like maybe like if it's like in the shallow end, maybe do some stretching and stuff like that in the pool. But yeah, for me, it would just be in the pool and just like on my back, just floating and zoning out that way. Yeah, so I went lap pool / recovery pool for that one. Yeah, so number 4. So this is kind of after game at your accommodations. I wish we had sort of 5-star accommodations when it comes to MLQ weekends. Unfortunately, we don't quite yet. But if you're at your venue, would you rather have an air mattress or a sleeping bag for your accommodations?
Easy air mattress. I've got a bad back, so like sleeping on the floor and like on a sleeping bag is not the most ideal situation, and also not the most comfortable. So if we go with the air mattress, or like, of course, if you're in a hotel, of course the hotel bed, but
I'm honestly 100% opposite you, Nate. I'm going sleeping bag all the way. I'm a big guy,
Okay.
and every time I've slept on an air mattress, by the morning it's deflated, and my neck is one way, my legs are the other, and my back is killing me every single time. And I found out apparently you're supposed to blow up an air mattress like a week or a couple days before you use it, and like let it say like that, and then you use it. And then I was like, that completely
Oh.
defeats the purpose of, hey, I need to blow up an air mattress and use it right now. Like, yeah, I'm all for sleeping bag. I can't sleep on an air mattress. It's just a waste for me. So let someone else have it. I'll take this. I'll take the floor.
Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of torn about this one too because I'm kind of like Bryan. Like I'm a bigger guy, so like air matches usually deflate. But I don't know, man. Like I've had some pretty bad experiences sleeping in a sleeping bag camping. So,
we're not living the life of luxury.
Yeah, it's not like we're living like a 5-star life here. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna go with air mattress too. Like, yeah, it's a tough choice, but yeah, it's I don't know.
See, if you throw in the third option with the sofa, I'd pick the sofa.
Yeah, that would be an easy
over the air mattress at least.
Yeah.
You know what? Know what be my underrated option that like is off the table, but it's not a bed? I'd sleep in my car. I'd sleep in my car and I'd fold the back seats down and like lay across the back somehow. I'd have to clean out my car first, so that's a whole nother story. But honestly, I think I could survive with that. Like, I'd rather do that.
Just wake up, start the car, just drive to the venue.
Yeah, efficiency.
Yeah. If the car was an option, I'd definitely pick the car. You also have the heated seats too. Worst case scenario, you want to turn it on for a little bit and keep the seats off, turn it off. So yeah, good one for that one. And then number 5. So this is kind of like more in-game sort of when it comes to recovery. Would you rather a Gatorade or a Powerade?
Easy. Oh, Powerade.
Powerade?
Really?
The taste is better. I feel like Gatorade, like especially if you're playing like at a venue where it's warm out and like your drink tends to warm up a bit, I feel like Gatorade just doesn't taste good when it's like room temperature at all. At least with Powerade, it does have like a stronger flavor and a stronger taste to it. And they also make my favorite flavor, which is strawberry lemonade. So I always go for Powerade. That's my go-to.
I'm a lemon lime guy, so I basically stick with that almost every time. I don't think I've had much Powerade. I don't know if I just like have an adversity to just not have it, or I always just see Gatorade first and get that. So I'm a Gatorade guy, but yeah, definitely lemon lime or like blue flavor, whatever the termination of flavor it is. But yeah, Gatorade for me.
Yeah, I'm not really normally if I'm at a tournament, I usually have water. I don't really have any of the electrolyte type stuff, even though I probably should. But yeah, my favorite flavor is red. So if I was gonna base it off that, I think I like the red from Powerade more than Gatorade. But so in that case, I guess we'll Powerade. But yeah, it doesn't really. I'm not huge like one over the other kind of. I know some people are, but so
BioSteel.
I'd go with. Or yeah,
BioSteel.
Right?
It's great, but it's expensive.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's so expensive.
I usually go between water and Powerade. Like I bring both to the field and both like the sidelines, and just kind of alternate depending on if I feel like a bit dehydrated, if I need like some sort of like energy. I feel like it's probably like a placebo effect a bit with the Powerade. Like you feel like just like having that taste in your mouth kind of helps give you a bit of energy more than the water is just more to just like make sure your body is like hydrated and whatnot.
Yeah, I drink primarily water, but a little bit like I'll have a Gatorade a day or something, but that's it. Nothing more.
Yeah. Cool. So that one's number 5, and then number 6. So again, this is kind of more pregame, but what's on the playlist? Are you listening to rock or rap/hip hop?
I'm old school rock for the most part. A lot of like Guns N' Roses, some what's it called? Joker and the Thief. I'm usually old school rock. It kind of changes up depending on like the team I'm with and if I'm just listening to my own stuff. But I'll throw in a rap song or two. Usually there's something good. But I'm kind of an old school rock guy.
For me, it's anything that has like the beat that kind of just gets you going, like anything with like a strong bass in it. And like usually like between those two I'd probably go with like rap, hip hop, but I don't really listen to that music on my own. But if like someone's playing that like off a speaker for the team, then I'll go with that. But usually I go with like my own music, which is like a big variety. So it wouldn't necessarily be like one genre, but like anything that kind of just hypes me up. If it's like my favorite song or like something that just has like a nice beat to it, or like one of them would be "Can't Hold Us" by Macklemore. Like that's like always like one of my go-tos, just because like the intro of it. So it all depends really on what I'm looking for, what I'm looking to hear, I guess.
I'll also throw out there just general soundtrack of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That has just banger, banger, banger constantly. That's also on the list of stuff.
Yeah, I guess I should have clarified. Like, if the venue is playing music, would you like rather the speakers playing rock or rap? But so based on that, for me, I would probably say rap, because I feel like most players would probably. I shouldn't say that, but like I think like rap is more of like what's kind of played on like slash pop music is mostly what's played on the radio, I guess. But
yeah,
I'm kind of like Bryan. I kind of like more of the old school rock, like AC/DC, like Hell's Bells, like that kind of stuff, like for a game. But yeah, I guess it really depends on sort of the mood. But if I had to pick one for like the overall like vibe of the general team, I would say rap. But I shouldn't necessarily like pinhole everyone into the same group. But I think if I had to choose, I'd pick rap.
You know what? Rock or rap? I'd probably stick with rock. Rock or EDM?
EDM. For sure.
I'm gonna go drop some EDM. I will throw a bunch of EDM on there. But yeah,
I feel like alternative bands as well that kind of just have their own unique sound. Like if you listen to like Imagine Dragons, like Believer, which is common, like that's technically alternative. So like it really depends on the song, not so much the genre.
Yeah. Very true. And then the last one is kind of, I don't know. I guess it's the end of the game. So it's beginning of the game. For handshakes, do you think handshakes should happen pregame or postgame?
Is this a pre-COVID era?
That's a very good point.
Let's assume that like there's no pandemic happening and like we can actually like interact with people without having to wear masks and all that kind of stuff.
I would say after the game, just because like before the game you're focused on yourself, getting ready, and like your team and everything like that with your drills and whatnot. So it's kind of like that sign of respect after a game, like after you battle it out, especially in like those elimination games in the finals or semifinals. It's kind of just like a sign of respect that you kind of like want to display after like a good solid match between two teams. So I feel like the handshake before, it's like, what are we handshaking for? It's like, let's have a solid, I don't know, it's just weird to have like the handshake before the game, because it's like you're not really recognizing anything that like has yet to take place, I would say.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I would agree. End of game. I do support, and I like MLQ how they do it, and I think we should doing it more in general. The like going out onto the field handshake with your teammate, like the pump up line, introduction line. I love that.
Starting lineup, yeah.
Starting lineup's great, but yeah, I would definitely agree with Nate there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I agree too. I think the only way it would make sense to do like a pregame handshake is kind of like what they do in soccer sometimes, where they have like the teams like kind of do handshakes, and then like at the end of the game they still kind of do it. It's less formal, but they still kind of like, if there's one player that you're at like a like your matchup against during the game or whatever, they'll exchange jerseys or whatever. So in that sense, maybe it'd be like that. But yeah, I think I would agree that post handshake makes the most sense, just because like nothing's happened yet. So like I get the sentiment of like doing it before game, just because like there's like a heated exchange or whatever, and some people don't shake hands at the end, which I think no matter how upset you are about something, you like always shake hands. But yeah, I think post handshake makes the most sense for that one.
I would also say there is some like pre-handshaking going on. Like the captains do their little handshakes. Usually the seeker does their little handshake with their fellow seeker, like, oh, good luck out there. And you're like trying to jockey for position right from the start. But like, I think that makes the most sense in my mind.
Like with hockey, like usually it's like after like the elimination game where you do like the formal handshake. So not even like between games, I would say, but like after, like if it's like a single elimination, then obviously after that one game you'll do a handshake. But if it's like a best 2 out of 3 series, I would probably even wait till like after that final game takes place before doing that handshake. Because kind of just like you're kind of still in like in the middle of the battle. So like until that's over, it's kind of like you stand your side, I stand my side. But
yeah, for sure. Awesome. So yeah, that's kind of like the gist of the episode this time around. So to wrap up, though, we want to quickly do a Who Were the Took segment. I tried to find someone this week within the Quidditch community, within some of the chats. I wasn't very successful, so I'm gonna give my toque this week to non-Quidditch individual. We just talked about it with the Leafs. I'm gonna give it to Kyle Dubas for pulling off that trade. Hopefully, there's a couple more trades that come to the Leafs, but I think he kind of, I wouldn't say fleeced, but he got away with pretty sweet deal, giving up just maybe a second round pick for cap space, which the Leafs desperately need. So
4 years from now.
Yeah, 4 years from now. So yeah, I'll give my toque this week to Kyle Dubas.
Nice.
For this week, I'll go with, because we were just coming out of the Olympics, the Winter Olympics, to the Canadian women's hockey team for their dominant tournament, and I guess more specifically, both Marie-Philippe Poulet and
MVP
Sarah Nurse, who both had dominant record-breaking production, and of course with Marie having scored goals in 4 consecutive Olympic gold medal games, it's pretty impressive as well. Regardless of like age, regardless of sex, it's pretty impressive to see like a Canadian hockey player have that much success internationally.
Absolutely.
Canadian GOAT for sure.
Absolutely. I'm kind of like, I guess it comes down to like, is it single? I'm trying to find the exact group that has it. My toque is kind of an anti-toque to one group, but a toque to everyone else. As someone who does not follow figure skating like at all, but I do follow current events. Some of you do know that the Russian athletes aren't Russian. They're competing against the Russian Olympic Committee flag,
ROC,
the ROC. And there was a recent controversy where one of the Olympians was competing and was found to be doping. That Olympian is also 15 or 16. 15, yeah. So kind of crazy situations. All in all, it's kind of coming down on her trainer on stuff, but toques off to everyone in the figure skating community who's doing it without performance enhancing stuff. I don't even know what happened there. It's kind of a mess. It look it up. It's just a whole. It's a mess. It's a mess. So toques off to everyone else who was competing properly there. But yeah, figure skating, exactly how we should end the show every single time.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, that wraps up the Who Were the Took segment and wraps up our podcast. So again, we'll hopefully get a chance to post some of the polls so you guys can follow along and let us know what you think about the what would you rather for the location/venue that we're participating in. But yeah, feel free to follow us on our Instagram to kind of follow along with that. It's the No Beaters Podcast. So Nate has us there on our Instagram, and yeah, we'll be back next week with another episode, potentially with a guest. We'll see. I know we keep teasing that, but we do finally have the individual we're looking for lined up. So I'm looking forward to that, and yeah, we'll catch everyone in the next episode. So peace.